Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another progress update. I haven't done one of these in a couple weeks now. I want to do one every week, but the reason why I'm back again today, I'm actually supposed to be publishing a different interview, a different video that's supposed to be an interview today. But over the last few days, last week, I've been considering things, and basically the reason why I'm here giving this update is because I plan on changing my master plan. So the original video that I came out with, on this channel was my master plan, and let me pull that up. So it's this video where I kind of run through the master plan, building a client service business, episode number 1. That name hasn't continued, but so essentially my master plan was to kind of have my shanerossed.com and my personal YouTube channel, which is this channel, where I would document my journey of building an agency specifically around e-commerce and specifically doing conversion rate optimization and conversion focused redesigns for direct-to-consumer brands specifically. And so then really my goal was to document the process of building that here on this channel, give you progress updates, as well as then bring in other agency and service business providers that were experts and have them weigh in and essentially have me help me learn things. Then also, like, through my curiosity, I think if it's helping me in thinking about how I'm making this transition, I think it will help other people too. So we talk about, like, trying to figure out pricing, positioning, just so many different things, whether to actually build an agency or stay freelance, or stay as a consultant. And so a lot of these things, I mean, honestly, after doing all of these interviews, my mind has changed a lot. It feels like after doing every interview, I just have so much to think about. Like I talked with Kurt Elster, the interview that's supposed to be going live today, and he was like, he told me why he doesn't create any content around building a business and why all of his stuff is focused on Shopify. And he's like, I just don't want to have two separate audiences. I know other people who do have separate audiences, like they cater to different audiences and they do it well. So it's just kind of a preference thing. But that definitely made me think a lot, as well as I was talking to Davish Kanal and Joel Kletke. So Joel is a really good example of someone who never actually built a business. He does business casual copywriting, but it's really him, and he's the one providing the service. But so he does conversion focused copy, and he does it really well, and it's mainly him, and he has some subcontractors that help him out. But then when I was talking to Davish, he was like, sometimes building I think it was Davish, he's like, sometimes building a agency is actually less profitable. And so there's like a number of reasons why I'm rethinking my strategy here, but I just kind of wanted to lay out what that strategy is, how I'm thinking about things, and just kind of riff here for a minute, and say how I'm thinking things will change. So really, I'm thinking that this will just get flipped, and it'll be kind of backwards. So shanerossed.com will actually be all about ecom. So I'm actually redesigning my website right now. It's much needed. Redesigning my website, gearing it completely towards design, development, conversion rate optimization for Shopify clients specifically. My YouTube content here, I think, will be all focused around ecom. I don't know if I'm even going to be doing any interviews, but just some the ecom ops, I'm still working that out. This is some things to work out here, but really, Design to Convert, talking about conversion rate optimization, tips and guides, Shopify tutorials, how to build out custom sections and do cool things with store design. I want to start creating that content, and I haven't been, because I've been just doing this and doing these interviews. And one of the things I realized that creating content like this requires a certain level of energy that some days I just don't have. I have to be kind of like on to really create this content, and so I'm putting all that energy into post-producing the interviews, which have been super valuable. And I mean, the whole reason why I'm here making this decision is because of those interviews. They're super valuable, but I think that I've been putting a lot of weight on that, and instead of just actually sharing like what I'm learning as I go, I've been like putting this almost like on a pedestal, like making it a thing, when it could just be, hey, I create all this content around ecom, but I also do this thing where I talk about building a service business. And so I think that this YouTube channel, these interviews, these progress updates are actually going to probably turn into just a podcast. So just audio, no video. So it's even easier on myself. But I really want to make it as easy as possible on myself. Like, I think of this like question that Tim Ferriss often asks, like, what would this look like if it were easy? And for me, I think that's, not trying to make it so complicated. Like, I like to come up with all these master plans and, do this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of overthinking and making things super complicated. And like, I could do all of this if I wanted to spend every minute of every day on it, but I have so many other projects, things that I want to work on. So basically, long story short, I think that, and I kind of want to get to like an actual update of how things have been going. But this channel is going to start, I may even just like wipe it of these videos and publish them elsewhere, like move them elsewhere. But I think I'm going to create a separate thing. So instead of having the ecom agency, so here, we have ecom agency, which is separate, and then we have Shane Rostad. So this is like ShaneRostad.com. This is Shane's Twitter, Shane's LinkedIn, Shane's YouTube. I think what I'm going to do is have separate thing for all of this content. So basically this is going to switch over here and this stuff is going to switch over here. So it's going to be, on my stuff, it's going to be all about educating ecom owners about the things that I'm good at. And then on the separate site, which I think I'm going to call it like, the first idea in my head is like mastering client services. And I want to kind of change the way that I do things. So if I do a weekly podcast where the interviews, because I was supposed to publish an interview today, and I'm not, because I want to change up the cadence to publishing these interviews every 2 weeks, to really drastically reduce the workload on me. And I could hire someone to do this, but it just kind of feels like I'm still learning, so like I could hire someone to do this, but I don't know if I even want to do it another week. You know what I mean? I'm already changing my plan. So like hiring someone to do it and then changing the cadence and going from 2 to 1, like everything changes. So I kind of like also want to learn what it takes. I really don't enjoy editing videos. That's why a lot of these are just like very minimally edited. But anyway, so yeah, I think I'm going to do something like mastering client services. That's going to be a podcast where I can get on, once every 2 weeks and just talk through everything that I've been learning. And maybe it would be cool to have like a co-host for that. So that way I'm just not monologuing it. Maybe I'll find someone who's also interested in talking about client services and learning stuff. But I don't know. I think that's just going to be like, one day is going to be me just sharing what I'm learning and updates, etc. And then the other, the next week will be an actual interview. And that'll be with some agency owner and it may not even be with an agency owner, but also like freelancers, consultants, whatever it is. But I really just want to talk to people and kind of do like a deep dive on a certain topic. So sometimes maybe not even just doing a big interview about what things look like for them, but specifically just being like, all right, we know who you are. Let's not talk about the transition period. Let's just talk about the specifics. Like I want to talk about pricing. I want to talk about project management. And there's some people that I know are so good at very specific things. Like I've got one interview lined up that I'm really excited about, that I actually have to get back to him. His name's Tom, and he wrote a book about pricing freelance projects. And whether it's freelance or agency, it kind of all just goes into one. But I think that talking with him, we're just going to go deep on pricing. And I think I could find other people to go deep on hiring, and then find someone else who has a different way of thinking about pricing to go deep on pricing with them. But I just want to do like 30-minute deep dives on topics. And then also just do updates myself, like what I'm learning, how I'm changing my business. But I want that to be like a separate thing, where it's like, hey, I've got this over here. But it's not my main thing. Like, hey, this is who I am. But I just, at the same time, I just kind of like record this stuff over here. And so it'll be a very small part of who I am instead of being my whole brand, essentially. My whole brand will instead be e-commerce. And this other thing will be separate. And who knows what that'll grow into. But yeah, so with that, I'm redesigning my personal website, doing a lot of work there, really thinking about how to position myself. I talked to Davish Kanal about positioning a ton, and he's got a lot of really good takes on how to think about positioning yourself. And I'm still figuring things out as I go. But I've been thinking about that a lot. And what's been really great is I've gotten more involved in the direct-to-consumer DTC community, which has been super helpful. I've met, not even like client work wise, but I've just met some really awesome people, and it's great to be a part of a community where people are talking about the same things that you're into, and being able to be helpful. I mean, like, if I was really just like all in this for money, I'd be trying to hard sell people, not just doing things for free all the time. But I'm in the middle. I mean, like, I'm working with some really awesome operators. So I'm like, within a month, I went from I'll say 3 because one of them had already been kind of ongoing. But I found 3 separate brands to do ongoing conversion rate optimization retainers, and these brands are doing one is a younger startup but has a history of experience as a DTC operator, so that's a little bit different. But 2 of them are doing one of them's doing over $1 million, the other's doing probably over 3 or 4, and they're crushing it. And I'm going to be working with them, and I've had great calls with them, and I can actually provide them a ton of value. And just by offering to do things for free and meeting these people, it's become clear that I can provide a lot of value, and I can actually be helpful. It's kind of like one of those fears originally where I was like, I know what I'm talking about. I have a lot of like, my skill set I think is valuable, and I could definitely provide value to people. But, the first time looking at a website, I was like, oh, I have to actually, like, I'm doing an audit essentially. And I'm like, oh, this is a pretty good website. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to come up with anything that we can improve. And then, like, that was in my head. And then I sat down to actually go through and start doing the audit. And it was just like ideas popping up. Like, what if we did this and this and this? And now there's like a laundry list of improvements. And so, just getting over that hurdle of like, oh yeah, like, getting the reps in essentially, is really awesome. And all these people have agreed to give me, a testimonial / case study, that I can then use to sell to other people, and potentially may become ongoing clients. I mean, these people, if everything goes well, may become long-term retainer, ongoing clients after the trial run. So we'll see. But I'm not too worried about that right now. But yeah, it's been really awesome. I mean, like, some of the things that I've learned, and I want to share. Let's see. So I've got this here. Basically, there's some things here that, made me like, why am I making this switch, I guess, is an important thing. And I can't even tell how long this video has been going on, so I'm probably rambling a little bit. But there's a few big lessons that I've learned from these interviews, and just to like go to show how valuable these interviews are. I've learned that, number one, my goal isn't to build, my end goal isn't to build a big agency. I want to build my own products and my own companies, and whether that's D2C brands or whether that's SaaS products, specifically most likely building apps and other products that are helpful for people in the e-com and direct-to-consumer world, specifically like on Shopify. That's like where my skill set is. That's what I'm like pretty passionate about. And then, realizing that I want to then use my skill set that I'm learning now to then grow those businesses, and not just be, growing other people's businesses. Like, client services are, great, but at the same time, I mean, you have to manage client relationships. That's why they are the way that they are. Let me actually pull this over. So this is in Notion. I've been using Notion a ton now. I finally got my like, I have this like wall of like stick post-it notes, and I'm using Notion now, and it's been great. But so, these are some of the things that I started listing out. So I don't really want to build a big agency. So number two is that, service businesses need to grow big to be worth it. So in my conversations with, with Davish and with other people, Davish specifically, I think, was the one who brought this up. But, if I have 5 clients paying me, and I'm making X dollars per month, let's just say that that's, I don't know, let's just say that that's 10 grand a month, to give it a round number. If I take on a 6th client, and let's say that client is worth 2 grand a month to me, which is like not a super valuable client, but just consider that. But in order to work with that 6th client, I need to hire someone. I may then need to hire someone for, let's say, 5 grand a month. So now my 12 with that 6th client went down to 7. And so now I'm only making 7 grand a month. But I have one more client. And so like one more potential headache, essentially. Like most clients are great, but sometimes, you don't, sometimes you miss the red flags. And so then you think, okay, if they're 2 grand a month each client, now I take on a 7th and I'm back up to, now I'm up to 9. And I'm still not backed, but I have more. And then I take on, a 3rd, and okay, now I'm making more money, but now like I can handle 5, and maybe this person can only handle 4. So as soon as I take on another one, I then need to hire another person. And like, you're not instantly, like, as soon as you hire a new person, going to then have 2-3 new clients to then load up on that person, unless you're rapidly growing. So there's this constant, like, reversion back to your original profit number, and you need to just keep scaling in order to make it worth it. Like every new employee, you may only open up the opportunity for, X thousands of dollars. In this like very small example, we're talking about every new employee is essentially 3 grand in potential profit. Like if they cost 5 and they could handle 8 grand worth of clients per month, that's not a very good number, but that's like, typically like a margin for an agency would be, like 20%. And sometimes it could be way more profitable, but depending on the service you're providing. But it's like, is it really worth it to then add that employee? Then now you have to think about that employee, and then you also have to think about the client. So it doesn't scale super easily, but it scales through adding on more employees, and the profit doesn't scale that high. So unless you have a really, really good margins. And so that's not exactly the game that I want to be playing. And it's just like kind of continues forever. So then one thing I've learned too is that, reliable freelancers and independent consultants are in really high demand. So like there's this certain point where a company needs help. Essentially, like let's say they need help doing optimizing their site for conversions. And hiring someone full-time with that skill set that could actually be doing it. First of all, you need to be doing enough revenue or enough sales in order for you to be able to spend a full-time employee's worth of time running experiments and doing conversion rate optimization, because it definitely takes a lot of work, but you have to be doing a lot of sales in order to be running the conversion rate optimization sort of a program where you need a full-time employee. And so you'd be trying to hire someone, and this might be like their part-time role, but instead you could hire a consultant that they don't need to work for you full-time, but you're paying, let's say you wanted to hire someone full-time to do this, and you're paying 6 to 8 grand a month for an employee. You have benefits, yada yada yada, and that's cheap depending on where you are, depending on who it is, what their skill set is, and then also they're probably not going to be able to do the full scope of things. They're probably not going to be able to do the copywriting, the design, the development, the implementation, the testing. They may be able to do everything but the implementation. So then okay, that's another 2 grand a month in development costs, let's say, design and development costs. And so now, like, hiring a freelancer or an independent consultant who can do it for even someone who can do your testing program for $4,000 a month is really worth it. And so, and also even just on the development side, you know, like I was talking to someone who said they had to design and build out this simple page, and it took these guys so long. Like he ended up taking 6 weeks to design and build out a single page in Shopify, and like had to hire a second developer because the first one just didn't do it and couldn't do it. And so like for someone like to be that reliable and skilled person for another company, like you're always in demand and everybody is kind of looking for that. And one thing that I've realized is like by getting really good at what I do, I can be that for people. And again, my end goal is not to make all my money through freelancing. You know, I want to build products, apps and different products, and spend a lot of time doing that. So if I could spend, you know, a lot of my time doing services and then the other part of my time building products, like that's where I expect the long-term returns to come from. And so I'm happy to be the constantly in demand, never have to worry about, like there's a position that you can get to by being really good at what you do that I'm learning by being a free agent, essentially by being a freelancer, that you essentially never really have to worry about running out of work. And that's kind of that, you know, thinking of Nassim Taleb, his idea of like being anti-fragile, having a valuable skill set and being really good at it, essentially puts you in a position, and having a really good reputation where people know, like essentially you need the valuable skill set, you need to be actually good at it, experienced, and you need a reputation that you are good and then you have that skill set so that people know and can tell other people. That's essentially what you need to be in demand with certain skills, like forever. And then by knowing that, I can take riskier bets, like investing in products and launching new apps and things like that, and essentially taking big periods of time off from services and then being able to just come right back to it. That's kind of like the position that I want to put myself in. And so yeah, I think, you know, the last couple things are I want to build my reputation, not a company's. I mentioned that I don't care about being able to exit, which is a big concern for people. Like if you want to be able to sell your agency, don't build it around yourself, obviously. That's not a big thing for me. Number 5 was that creating content is time consuming and requires high energy levels. Yeah, I don't know. There's just, that's about it. That's the main reason why I'm, you know, I have so many projects and like I have so many projects and things that I want to learn that I want to spend my time doing. And creating this form of content isn't something I want to take up all of my time. So I'd rather it be a side thing rather than the main thing. And I could focus on building cool stuff and creating content around that's going to actually build my business around myself. Yeah, I know I've rambled on about this for a while, but yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. It's a very long update. I've got, you know, a couple new projects that went live that look pretty awesome and pretty proud of. One is humanmg.com. This project just went live. It's for, they work with some of the top content creators and YouTubers in the world. And so it's pretty cool. I love these little effects, all custom designed. And so this is one of the, you know, I'm still doing client work for service businesses as I transition. But you can see this is really my favorite page here is the ASMR page. They have 7 of the top 20 ASMR creators in the world under management. And so, yeah, I'll just scroll through here really quick. You can see here, these are like a bunch of different case studies, kind of just on an infinite scroll. you can see the view count, things like that, different ways you could work with them, special campaigns. You can request their roster, and again, just the bottom part here, the call to action. So this is one project. The other is shopcivitas.com. This just went live this week too. This just went live yesterday. The HumanMG website went live today. So this is graphic tees for the DTC community. This is for a client who's now become a really great friend named Matt Lady. This is Matt, and he's creating a brand around the direct-to-consumer community. Definitely check it out. Buy a shirt. They're really awesome. This is all custom designed in Shopify, as you can kind of see here. We have the About Us. Let's see. So this is all custom. I mean, we went back and forth on this a ton, and figured out exactly how we wanted it to look. And I think it came out pretty awesome. So yeah, this is a project that just went live. You see he's starting to add in some additional pictures here. Oh, a gift card has been added. That's nice. But yeah, the product page is a little bit only slightly customized. We still have a couple of small tweaks we're doing kind of in production, you might say. It's very slow to load because my internet speed is super slow. So this video will probably take forever to load, but you can see we've got some custom elements here, and as well as here. Additionally, there's another section that we're tweaking, but yeah, you could kind of go check this site out, check out the HumanMG site. Really happy with how these came out. But yeah, basically I'm about to be super busy working with clients, and I'm gonna have a ton of stuff to share around the conversion rate optimization stuff. A lot of really awesome learnings already within the first couple weeks of working with clients. So and a lot of really cool ideas. So that's that. I'll end this off here. So yeah, I guess the next time that this is published, it will probably be under a separate company name or separate brand name. I think I'm going to go with Mastering Client Services. So it's just going to be my own little pet project around that. Yeah, and that's about it. So I'll end it off here.